This is Time Signatures with Jim Ervin, a podcast and radio program presented by the Capital Area Blues Society in Lansing, Michigan.
Driving up and down these Michigan roads, yeah.
And now, here he is, your host, Jim Ervin.
Baby, I'm home.
Well, thank you so much, Parker, and welcome to Time Signatures. I'm your host, Jim Ervin, and today's show is extra special, at least for me, because it's my first episode featuring in-studio guests. And it's not just one, but two, as you can see here. Both are incredibly talented musicians, currently residing in the greater Lansing, Michigan area. Twyla Birdsong and Benjamin Hall are local mainstays on the blues scene here in Lansing. Twyla and Ben, awesome to have you guys at Time Signatures. How are you?
Doing very well.
Thank you.
Well, we're hoping that you're going to have a good time. This is, as I said, the first time that I've had in-studio guests, so it's going to take me a little getting used to. And
We're your first in studio?
you are my first in-studio guest here.
Well,
Here.
baptism.
Mm-hmm.
But make sure you get nice and close to the
Hopefully
mic.
not the last.
No, it's not.
So I want to get rolling here because there's a lot of ground to cover, okay?
Okay.
Mhm.
And this is for both of you. Twyla, ladies first, so I'm going to start with you. I'd like for you to talk about your baptism into the blues a little bit. How did you get involved with the music, and where did it start for you?
So it started when I was a little girl.
Mm-hmm.
No, honestly, just being in a family of music that loves music, but mainly gospel music. But I loved blues from going down to Michigan City, Indiana, where I'm from.
Sure.
And we'd go down there in the summertime in my uncle's Cadillac, and he'd be playing ZZ Hill all the way down there, BB King. So that was my first feeling from it. And honestly, like music, gospel music
Sure.
to me is blues. It's got that blues feel too. Listening to Mahalia Jackson,
Oh, yeah.
growing up. So from there, but then performing, it actually started with me doing it with a garage band. I used to work at GM, Fisher Body, and
Okay.
one of my friends there, he heard me singing because I always like automatically sing everywhere. And he heard me singing on the line, and he asked if I would come with them to the garage band. So I went there, and they were playing. And honestly, when they were playing the blues, and they said they played the blues, I was like, "What's that?" But they were playing like things like Stevie Ray Vaughan,
Oh, yeah.
and I just wasn't exposed to that. So they really got me incorporated into learning a different how many veins the blues has.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I actually like to call blues like a buffet.
Mm,
You've got a little bit of this and you got a little bit of that, but you
Mhm.
know yourself that just about every genre of music has been
That's
touched
true.
by the blues.
that's true.
So how about you, Ben?
For me, blues was I know there are a few people in my life that turned me on to the blues, but for me, probably one of them was the gateway drug of the Blues Brothers.
Mhm.
And you saw those guys in their matching suit and looking so cool. There you go.
Right back here on the
And
wall.
my uncle played harmonica,
Okay.
and he listened to Briefcase Full of Blues quite a bit. So
Oh,
I
wow.
got introduced there, and then also my stepmother was she was a fan of all genres of music, really, but she introduced me to Coco Taylor
Oh,
and
man.
Bobby Blue Bland and stuff like that. And so I guess that's kind of where I first got into it, and then it was a part of my life growing up consistently. And then when I graduated from high school, a friend of mine gave me a harmonica as a gift, and it
Okay.
just so happened that coincided with getting my heart broken for the first time.
Oh, man.
So I was like, I could either just sit here and cry about it, or I can, put this in front of my face and make something out of it. So
Mhm.
Right.
that's kind of where it started. So I started playing harmonica by myself, just unfortunately a lot while I was driving. I don't recommend that. But I mean, you could keep it in your front
Put a
pocket.
little disclaimer up here on the
Oh,
screen.
okay,
and-
yeah.
Keep it in your front pocket, play along with the radio. That's what I did. And so I
He
did
it
that
at the
for a while.
Stoplights, right?
Yeah.
Ben?
It was on the highway.
Oh,
So
okay. That's
so that I
okay.
could hold the steering wheel and really, get into the cupping and everything. No, I didn't do that, but so that happened, and then I went off to MSU to college, and my mom worked with a blues guitarist, and they had a band and they were looking for a singer, and so I ended up going, and my first blues band was Who Dat Blues Band, and I played with those guys for a good 10 years.
Oh man.
And I really cut my teeth with those guys, and they taught me a lot, and in turn I taught them a lot, because the more I learned from them, the more I dug in and increased my knowledge and stuff. And
Sure.
so that's where I guess that's my blues story thus far. I mean, then while I went back to Michigan State several years later and hosted my own blues radio show
Yeah, we're going to get into that
for a
for
good 5 years, and
Yep.
had some great experiences from that. And that's where
We're
where
going to
it all
definitely
started.
get into that. Ben, I wanted to ask you now. I know that you play the blues harp or the
Mhm.
harmonica.
Mhm.
You also play the ukulele.
Mhm.
And Ben Hassinger would be very happy with the way that I just pronounced that, because that is the proper pronunciation.
It is. You are
But I
correct.
wanted to ask you, were there any other instruments that you played along the way?
Well, I started off on the trumpet in 5th grade,
Okay.
and I played that up and through high school. But then I got involved in choir, and I liked singing more than I liked playing the trumpet.
Okay.
So I joined the choirs, had great experiences I went to Blue Lake Fine Arts Camp, got to go to Europe with that
Wow.
group, and
Nice.
sang in all the mass choirs at MSU and stuff. So got to do some great pieces there. So I mean, voice is really my main instrument.
Sure.
I say I'm a singer that plays the harmonica and the ukulele in that order.
Mhm.
Okay.
So, but started playing the trumpet. Also played the baritone in high school, and then I had to learn how to play piano. Wrote a lot of songs on piano, but had to learn to play piano because I went to school for music.
Okay.
So, yeah, I guess that's I
Very
don't
cool.
play piano at gigs though. So it's too much.
Understood. Understood. How about you, Twyla? Any instruments in your past?
Yes, the violin and viola. Lansing School District is so wonderful. At least they were when I was growing up. You were gonna do an instrument. I think everyone had to do an instrument. We started out recorder, but no, I don't know anything about that. But violin and viola, and I love playing the viola. It's got that. As I thought about it later on in life, it's the same tone that I like. The violin is a lot higher and
Sure.
tone, and I resonate even vocally with the lower registry. I used to always want to sing soprano because it seemed like the sopranos at church always got the leads.
hmm
Okay. So I always wanted to do that, but I have as I've gotten older, I comfortably embrace my lower registry.
Yep. You definitely, and you do, and you carry it very well. If you haven't had a chance, I'm sure that there's some video out there somewhere. Capital Area Blues Society might have some videos up, and check my page out. There might be some videos up, all kinds of fun. You guys have both been involved in local blues music for several years, a lot longer than I've been involved. I want you to expand just a little bit on that and talk about some of the bands that you've played with. And I'm going to start with you, Twyla.
Oh, West Side Healers were the first, and that was the blues, the garage band. And our first gig was at the Temple Club
Okay.
down in Old Town, and then Red Hot Blues Band with so many different players. The first one was Dominique Piasanti. If I start naming names and forget Kevin, I'm gonna start. Let me stop naming names
Yeah.
because I'm gonna forget.
We went through that with Freddie and
Oh
James
my
too. I mean,
goodness.
names are just everywhere, you know?
Kevin Slechter, okay, Andy Callis,
Okay.
and then later on, Harry Oman was Red Hot Blues Band, and Bill Malone and Eric Hamilton. So many great players that I've been had the fortune of singing with, and they have really taken me under their wings. Because most of the time I was up there, I did not know what I was doing.
If you don't say Frog's name, he's gonna take it personal.
Oh my God. Of course, Frog. Okay. Mike Smalley. Just stopped naming names, but there's so many.
Yeah.
And yeah, Frog is a great guy. He's always so like if there's something I want to do, yeah, come on, kid, let's do it. So I am not leaving off Frog
Right. No.
purposely.
But we both competed in the
Oh.
international blues competition
Yes.
the same year, and she was with Frog, and
Mm.
I don't remember who was playing drums. I know Tyler was on keyboards.
I've always got Booney Daughtery on drums.
Oh yeah, Booney was there.
And Actually, the first time I went down to Memphis, it was with the Hoopties, and that was Jason Strawthide on bass and Eric Payne on drums. Eric and Aaron Aaron
Holland.
Holland,
Aaron Holland.
Okay.
fantastic guitarist,
Yeah.
and Andy Callis. So yeah, we've
Well,
been.
since you're talking about being down at the IBC, you also went with Michael Aia, didn't you also?
I did a duo with Mike Aya.
Yeah.
The first time down there was with the Hoopties,
Little
and
birdie
it
told me.
was really a learning experience and just taking all that in. And then I want to go again. I went as a duo with Mike Aya. That's correct.
Wow. And
And
you,
Yep.
sir?
I went as a duo with Stan Budzinski,
Okay. Yeah.
and yeah, we had a great time.
So
Mhm,
I've never been there. I've never been a competitor for the IBC.
mhm.
What is that experience like for you guys? I mean,
I mean, I feel like everybody should do it. Everybody should try. Everybody
okay.
should try to do it. I mean, it's for me the competition. I was kind of sour on it. I'm not gonna lie about it, but the experience, the people that you meet, the music you get to hear,
Mhm.
that is that made it all
Yeah, because
worthwhile
it's
for
the
me.
best of the best, isn't
Yeah.
it? For globally.
All over the world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not just local or
I think when
national.
we were there, it was like some guys from Venezuela ended up winning the whole thing.
Wow.
Mhm.
And yeah, I the very first night of competition, we competed early and then we went to dinner, and there were several groups playing that were just world class,
Mhm.
absolute world class. There's this one duo, they ended up winning the whole thing, but I went up to them and
Mhm.
I remember I said, if you do not win this whole thing, there's no justice in this world. And they ended up winning the whole thing. So
That's cool.
yeah.
That's cool. How about you, Twyla? What was the experience like for you?
The first time, and we went down with like our entourage from Lansing. It was Denise Lynch
Yep.
and I can't remember who all
The entourage
came.
goes every year.
Oh my God. What'd you say?
I said the entourage goes every year because when we went down, Denise was
Oh, okay,
there, and
okay, yeah.
Ron. I think that was the first year
Yeah,
Rhonda
Rhonda.
went,
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
and
Was Anita there at that time too?
no, Anita was not
Okay.
there.
Okay.
But
That
yeah,
makes
there
it
was
so much fun.
yeah,
Like when you got your people there,
Oh
mhm,
yeah.
man, that makes it fun.
yeah, because you know that they're pulling for you more than
Mhm.
anybody. So
Yeah.
But everybody, I didn't feel like it was a competition, but I never felt like we were in competition with one another. Like the other bands, they were all so friendly. I met people down there that I'm still friends with today. Stacy Brooks, I told you about
Yep.
her, and I sent her your message. But um, I had a great experience. The first time, it was like I was too much in my head. I was way too much in my head. So to really take it in, and that's why I want to go down again. Um, but my best experience down there was seeing Bobby Rush. Every time I
oh
see
yeah,
Bobby Rush, he was in the audience. We were performing at the Hard Rock Cafe,
Okay.
and he came in, and I went over there like a little schoolgirl.
so did he see you play?
I don't know. No, no, he
Oh,
came in afterwards. That would have been cool. I don't know if that at that time that probably wouldn't have been cool because I would have been too like but now it would have been cool. I would have been singing to him.
Yep. Yep. Well, I want to flip the page just a little bit. And I specifically want to ask you about something.
Mhm,
The Black Rock 101.
mhm.
I remember seeing the first iteration of it. You've definitely
Mhm.
polished it up and really trimmed around the edges on it. And I've heard it's an incredible presentation. For those that have not heard of the Black Rock 101, give a little background about that and talk about it just a little bit.
Well, it's just it's it means to entertain and educate at the same time.
Mhm.
I don't, I'm not trying to be political or anything like
Right,
that.
right.
I just want to highlight some of the founders of the genre that we can we call rock and roll, and some other people that continued the legacy. And it's a journey. It goes from, the earliest person that is considered rock and roll, Sister Rosetta Tharpe, all the way through a group that their release was in 2023 called the Black Pumas,
Okay.
and really try to do as much in between as we can. I mean, it's, I can't do every artist, but I've got, you got some Chuck Berry in there, Big Joe Turner, Sister Rosetta Tharpe, as I said, Jimi Hendrix, Sly and the Family Stone, Terrence Trent D'Arby, Prince, like I said, just trying to fill in the gaps as much as possible. So going all the way from the roots to MTV and beyond.
How's the feedback from the people that are seeing your presentation now? Because I've heard really, really good things about it.
Everybody's loved it.
Okay.
Everybody's loved it. It's I really, really was very careful about the music that I selected. I didn't want to just do like if I did a Chuck Berry tune, I'm not going to do Johnny Be Good. If I do
Right.
I don't know, I'm trying to think of another group that I did that with, but I tried to like take something that was completely unique and completely that artist. Um so yeah, the playlist was very, very carefully curated, and everybody seemed to really enjoy it, and everybody's asking about when's Black Rock 201. So that is something that is in the works that
Beautiful.
I am thinking about. All the guys are still interested in doing it. We do have an upcoming performance. We're playing for the Lansing Summer Concert Series
I was just going to talk about
on
that. Go ahead.
Juneteenth. On
Yep.
Juneteenth. So we will, and it's going to be pretty much the entire presentation minus 5 songs. So it's
Okay.
because it has to be 2 hours worth of material, and it's 3 hours worth of material, I
Yeah.
guess.
Well, I'm planning on being there. I was planning on
Excellent.
bringing my video camera out
All right.
and try to get that captured for you.
Yeah.
You're listening and watching Time Signatures. I'm your host, Jim Ervin. And my guest today, Lansing's own Twyla Birdsong. We've also got Benjamin Richard Hall. And just talking about a little more of the Lansing-based stuff, some more of the Central Michigan type flavor of music. And it's kind of fun because my show has gotten to where I'm doing a lot of national stuff. I'm talking to a lot of national artists now, and I'm, I have to tell you, I'm really enjoying it. Still waiting to talk to Bob or Joe Bonamassa. Still waiting to talk to Buddy Guy. I believe they're going to come in time, but it's always nice to bring it back home and talk to some of the people that you work with locally. And I see you guys around all the time. And speaking of that, Twyla, I didn't want to leave you out. So I want to talk about a couple of the presentations that you've done over the last 18 months or so, because you did kind of a jazzy thing. And I think you did something that had a little more of
Burt
a
Baccarat.
gospel. And didn't you
Oh,
do some gospel too? Kind of a
well,
mix?
at the gospel, you may be considering at the blues festival. That's my root, so I'm always going to interject. You're going to hear that no
Sure.
matter what the words may be saying. I'm gospel. It's the good news. Okay, the blues is just like I tell people, it's raw. It's what it is.
Right.
But the labeling too, I understand people have to label things so that you know what you're gonna get or whatever. But really, at the root and core of who I am, I don't think there is a label for it.
Okay.
I'm very eclectic, but yes, I did do a gospel tune, if you want to call it that. Somebody has got to serve somebody. Bob Dylan, he wrote that. I think he wrote that. And then I heard what's her name? Etta James, I think. I did her version.
Okay. And then what were the Baccarat? Talk about that one a
Burt
little bit.
Baccarat.
Yeah.
I had been wanting to do some of those tunes that Dionne Sanders,
Dionne
Dionne
Warwick.
Warwick, thank you, Dionne Warwick, she did, and Dusty Springfield.
Sure.
And Andy Callis, he came up with that whole collaboration thing, and they did a fabulous job with the music. Only thing I had to do was come in there and sing some songs that I love to sing. So I love that afternoon. And like for the last 28 years, I've been raising children. That's been my main focus. And my last baby left 2 years ago, and it's always been in my heart that after she left, then I would be free to do music. So that was like my tiptoe back into trying to get some
Okay.
music going.
Sure.
But really, I say no labels, but blues, some funky, hard
Oh,
blues,
yeah.
man, that's what's hitting my soul every time and
Mhm.
pulling me. And so hopefully I'll be getting to do some of that. 2025, the end of 2024, we're gonna start out. I just got a new band collaboration.
Okay.
So hopefully 2025 you'll see us out there a little bit more. But we'll be in Lansing Blues Festival in September.
I'm excited to hear about that.
Thank
That's
you.
going to be fun. We'll have to talk off air because it's not official yet.
Mhm.
Ben, I need to ask you about your long-running radio show that you alluded to a little while ago on MSU's radio station. It was located at Holden Hall, I believe.
Mhm.
How did that come about, and how long did you do that? You said about 5 years?
Yeah. Um, that radio show it's interesting because it's kind of it doesn't exist anymore, but it was completely it's a completely student run radio station.
Mhm.
And when I was there and previous to that, there were a few like standard shows that just continued on for decades. The Accidental Blues, the Jazz Spectrum, and Torch and Twang, and those don't exist anymore. And it's kind of because um I guess the current students, they have different interests,
Mhm.
and no one really wanted to pick up those mantles and run with those. But it existed for a good couple decades before I started doing it, and I came in there with an above average blues knowledge,
Sure.
and
I can imagine.
well, I mean, well, but when I got there and started digging into it, I realized that I had a lot to learn. So I
Mm.
knew a lot, but
Blues
I
is
had
like
a
an
lot
onion,
to.
isn't it?
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, you just the further you go, the more layers you
Well, you
find.
get into one artist and then you're like, well, this is who that artist was listening to,
Yes.
and this is
Yes.
who that artist was listening to, and it just, you just keep
Mhm.
digging and digging and finding out more and more cool stuff. And before I started hosting the blues show, well, actually, no. I was gonna give the chronology incorrectly. I started hosting the blues show, and then I started getting involved in the Old Town Blues Festival.
Oh, wow.
So between those two, and as well as getting to know Jim Flynn,
Oh, man.
and between
Yeah.
those three things, it was just a perfect
Mhm.
storm. I was like, he was turning me on to all these artists. I was receiving all this cool stuff in the mail. I was meeting all these artists from doing the
Yes.
blues festival, and I actually on my way here was listening to one of my interviews because I knew you were going to ask me about it, and I wanted to. That was the one I was least familiar with, but it was Smoking Joe Kubek,
Yes.
and
Yeah. I was just going to ask you if you had any notable guests. Please,
yeah,
let's hear about
Smoking
it.
Joe Kubek, and he was such. The one thing I remembered about him was he was such a sweetheart, such a
Mhm.
nice guy, and like thanked me like heartfelt at the end of the interview. He's like, "Man, this is such a cool thing that you're doing. Thank you very much for having me on the show." And that just, but that was the one
Mhm.
thing I remembered. But then going back and learning about how he's a guy that's played with all three kings.
Yeah.
He played with all three kings as
Yeah.
well as Benoit's king, his partner, but
Mm.
close friend with Stevie Ray Vaughan. Like, whereas Stevie Ray, when he knew that he was going through troubles, told him he could sleep on his couch. He said he never took him up on it, but he told him that he always had a place to stay, and he's listening to his road stories and things like that. Just him. Also, a guy that, I mean, Smoke Joe passed away probably, is it almost 10 years ago? But also a guy that just passed away recently. Oh, come on.
Kinsey or
Donald Kinsey. Why? I mean, I was
Yep.
just looking at this, but Donald Kinsey was just that guy. Like, he is American music, or he was American music. I mean, he touched. I mean, he played with so many great people, along with his dad, along with like being one of the first hard rock all black artists signed to a label,
Sure.
along with playing with Bob Marley, touring with Bob Marley, being at Bob Marley's house when the assassination attempt was made on his life,
Oh, man.
touring and recording with Peter Tosh, um, and then the Kinsey Report on top of that. And it just, that guy was, it's so interesting to talk to.
Now, 420 is record store day
Yeah,
all over the United States.
and something else too. But
I got bit by I got bit by the bug.
hmm
Okay, because I'm working with a musician who has some vintage audio,
hmm
and it's on cassette and it's on vinyl. And I said, I would be happy to help you preserve this. Well, you're going to have to buy a turntable if you don't have one. As you can see right over there, I bought one. Okay, guys, the bug bit me hard. And on record store day, this is one of the albums that I brought home. It's the Kinsey Report
Yeah.
right here, Big Daddy Kinsey. And unfortunately, we lost two members of the family within the last couple
Yeah.
of months. But it's ironic that you mentioned the Kinseys, and they're part of my new collection. And
Excellent.
I got about 20 albums over here, and Garrett's laughing at me because I'm going crazy on this stuff. And I got a 4 album set of or 2 album set of slow hand over here.
Oh, nice.
And I turn it on and I just jam and enjoy it. And it's different. You guys are old enough, you understand vinyl, where a lot of the younger people don't understand vinyl. There's something very soothing about the clicks and the pop and the white noise and all of the stuff that makes listening to albums so much fun. But I've had an incredible time with that.
Well, there's some ritual to it too. You gotta put down the needle.
Just yes.
And I mean, it's not like you go, Alexa, play whatever.
Careful, she's up here. She might be listening.
It lit up. Sorry. Go back to sleep.
I'm gonna tell you, I love Alexa.
I do too.
Honey,
I
child. And the records. Okay, I was always scratching records. So to be out of records and CDs, Alexa, I love you.
Well, Ben, Ben worked at a radio station. Now, did you play vinyl there too?
I did, but it was like stuff I brought home. I
Okay.
brought from home.
Yeah.
It wasn't. Yeah, they didn't have. They had a lot of vinyl, but it was more I said that there was the jazz show and the Torch and Twang, which they played like Americana, country kind of music and stuff like that.
I only asked because I worked at a high school radio station. That's where I started in my broadcasting career. So back in 79, 80, somewhere in there is when I started working at WCHW, the Big Chew up at Bay City Central High School.
That's cool.
And it was a lot of fun. I had a blast, but I mean, that's where you learn if you don't have the needle in the right place,
And
you get it right where the music starts,
Okay.
hit the stop button and go back a half turn and you're good. You hit that button and by the time you click it, it goes right up and it's at the right speed.
Okay.
But if you do it anything less than a half turn, you're going to hear that when it takes off. So anyway, Twyla, I got to ask you, you were also involved, you involved me and another photographer in a really, really cool photo shoot idea last year. And what she did is she invited a group of female artists from the greater Lansing area, as many as wanted to come. And it was such a hit that she decided to do the same thing with a bunch of males within the greater Lansing area, a lot of men. And I think you were there too, weren't you? Yeah, you turned out for that. Where did the inspiration for that come? Because you and I are kindred spirits when it comes to preserving history. But I got to hear the backstory on this.
Honestly, it's I can't remember originally what I was thinking, but with Miss Betty Baxter, with her dying. Oh, I know how it originally started. I was out with Jen Harborough. And Jen Harborough, she's a singer in Lansing, a local singer. I love that girl's tone of voice. I just love her as a person. She's a great entertainer. Can't remember the band that she used to play with, but that's neither here nor there. But I was hanging out with her and having such a good time. And we were with another singer, female singer. And I was thinking, man, we should take some photos together. Oh, it was Gina. Gina had showed up, Gina Garner, who I love. I love these women. And I was like, we should take some photos together. And then I was thinking, but I know so many other females that I wouldn't want them to feel some type of way. And I love those females too. So I was like, maybe I can coordinate a lot of them coming together. So Miss Betty Baxter was going to be part of that photo shoot, and trying to coordinate so many people that was going to be to have them do it all at once. It would have probably taken some time.
Sure.
But because Betty Baxter, she was in her 90s, and I was like, Twyla, you may not really have that much time because I really wanted her to be a part of it.
Yes.
So we went ahead and got together and got the females that we that wanted to come and that could come, and it turned out to be such a wonderful, fun day with them. Like we just had fun going through, and Linda Vale, she took the picture photos for us for that day. So we met down at the Capitol, And then when we posted them, the men, they loved it, and I love that they loved it and honored, the representation of what it was. And what it was for me, just lovely women getting together
Yes.
and enjoying one another and honoring one another too. It didn't feel any cattiness or anything like that, and I love that. And then the men, they were on board to come.
Yes.
And thankfully, me and Marge Mooney, she was there, Freddie's wife.
It's like herding cats,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. Well, they weren't bad. They weren't bad, And I took, hey, that was on you. I'm not going to tell a man what to do. I know not to do that. But we were able to get a photo with them too. So
We were motivated to get that picture done because it was very
was cold
windy
that
and it was cold that day. But I have to be honest, thanks to you, I made some personal connections with some musicians that I'd never met before. I knew them by name, but I didn't know them. And Jim was what's his last name? That's what I get for trying to come up with a name here.
What
Works
did
at
it-
Elderly.
Oh, Jim Jones.
Jim Jones.
Oh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
He came up and gave me a big hug
Yeah.
afterwards. I
Yeah.
mean, and like you said, with the passage of time, we're losing people at an alarming rate.
Mhm.
And I look at all of our musicians in town, and none of them are getting any younger, So you want to capture those moments when you can. That's the biggest reason that I do this.
And our music scene in Lansing is been so good for me.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
emotionally, spiritually, everything. It's been uplifting. You go out and you hear these guys or gals, and it's just nothing but like it feels like a family reunion every time we come out because that's how I feel like we've been. Just a close knit group of people.
And I would agree with that. I've seen that. Matter of fact, she came back from vacation down at Jamaica
Mm-hmm.
last winter.
Mm-hmm.
And who was it that was playing at the Green Door?
And that I came in on. I told you my
Yeah.
memory is bad. You know, I
I'm
teach
trying to
about-
remember. Anyway, she was dragging her feet, but she had to come out and see the family. And she came out there and danced and had a good time. But I see that happen all the time. I see, people that come out to the events at Urban Beat and different places in the greater Lansing area. You mentioned the concerts in the park. I'm looking for that to be a big year for us this year. Ben, I want to flip the page a little bit. You are currently involved with the further adventures of Fat Boy and Jive Turkey.
Mhm.
And I've always wanted to ask you this question. Where in the hell did that name come from?
Truthfully,
Yeah.
my dad smoked a lot of pot when I was a child,
Okay, yeah.
and he used to make up radio shows on the spot, and he'd feed us kids lines, and we would be the characters
my
in these
gosh.
radio shows. And one of the radio shows was about a crime-fighting duo that was kind of like Batman and Robin, but it was Jive Turkey, which was my older brother, and Fat Boy, which was me. Which that
Okay.
coincidentally was my name throughout my youth. So interesting youth. But
Did you ever record any of this?
yeah, he recorded it, and my stepbrother and my sister were the villains, and it was, I mean, very interesting. So I was trying to come up with names for the band, and that memory came up, and I was like, well, I got to put my name first because it's my band. So
Sure.
that's why it's the Further Adventures of Fat Boy and Jive Turkey.
Oh, I love that.
Wow.
So
And now you know the rest of the story.
So cool.
yeah.
If you have a copy of that anywhere, I would help you preserve it.
My dad does on audio tape somewhere. But
Oh man,
his,
I've got a cassette deck
That
hooked
is-
into
well,
my
his
computer.
girlfriend has a tendency to hide his stuff, so he doesn't know where it is.
Oh man.
Somewhere in the attic or something.
Well, if you ever find it and you want to get it saved and digitally encoded,
Yeah,
whatever, I'd be
absolutely.
more than happy to do that. Guys, we are well into a half an hour here. I mean, this show has absolutely just flown by. But this is your chance to talk about anything that you've got coming up. I know you mentioned the music in the park coming up this summer. Anything else that you can think of that's happening in your world that you can see coming? I know you talked about 2024 being a little more exciting this year.
No, 2025.
Oh, okay.
Because my new band collaboration, we need to get our music done. So
So this year's a preparation.
everything is gone. The every gig is booked for the summer series, the concert series, all
Okay.
that's gone. So this will give us a good time to get our stuff together and then come out smoking in 2025.
Okay.
And hopefully some little gigs before then, but not before September.
Well, I hope you get a chance to. I think that would be wonderful, and maybe record some music as well.
Mm-hmm.
Be kind of nice to hear some new music with you
Mm-hmm.
on it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
excited about that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Ben, how about you?
I guess the nearest gig that I got is I'm playing. It's a May 4th weekend. I'm not exactly sure, but there's some like food truck rally sort of deal
Okay.
going on in Langsburg. I probably should get more details about that. So yeah, I look for that. You can always follow us on Facebook. You know, I do make events for everything and try to give at least a little bit of promo for the gigs. But also May 18th, I've got another side project that I'm doing called Heavy Music, which we're going to be covering Bob Seger's live Bullet album in its entirety, as well as we're going to do a set of greatest hits kind of stuff too. So that's something that I'm working with right now with Will Rideout from Big Willie, Eric Payne, Mike Smalley, Andy Callis, and Mocha. So look for that. Also, I don't know, my blues band, Who Dat Blues Band, is having a reunion. Again, we actually had one last year too. We're playing we'll be opening up for Chris Canis at the Marshall Blues Festival
Oh,
this
really?
year. So yeah.
Oh,
What day is that?
That's
This-
the 22nd of June,
I think it is it 22nd of June? Is that when
Yeah.
it is?
Yeah.
I know that I know the 21st, I'm supposed to be going down to see Danielle Nicole. She's going to be over in Three Oaks,
Mhm.
Michigan at a casino.
Mm.
And think she's such a sweetheart. She's like, let my manager know and she'll get some
cool.
tickets set aside for you. I want you to come. And so I said, well, I'm
Very
a
cool.
photographer. I'll go take pictures while I'm there, you know?
Yeah, put me to work.
So yeah. And you know, the thing is, doing the podcast is such a cool experience for me because as I've said many times, I like stealing little moments of history. And the neat part about this for people that don't know is the first season of Time Signatures is already down at the University of Mississippi, and they are processing it for the Blues Archive right now.
Very
So
nice.
people are going to be able to go and listen to episodes. They're going to be able to read. They're going to, you know, because there's transcripts that my daughter is doing for me. And so students are going to be able to use these as citation tools when they write their papers. So this is one of the things that I like to do, but photography is another thing. I mean, and again, going back to the fact that, you know, so many of our musicians are way, you know, getting up there. I just had the blessing to, you want to talk about being able to have an interview that was really touching. Bob Strozier was incredible. 93 years old and just a sweet soul, just a sweet spirit. And I had an incredible interview with him, but photography too. I mean, capturing those photos when I get a chance and going and getting people like Freddie Cunningham and James and several of the other people who are getting up in years, you know, to preserve some of those photos and memories. You know, that's why I do what I do. And that's why it's such a passion for me. Now you mentioned a Facebook page.
Yes.
Go ahead and put that Facebook page out there. And do you have a website too, or just the Facebook?
Just the Facebook page.
Go ahead.
I don't know what it is, but if you look up the further adventures of Fat Boy and Jive Turkey
Okay.
on Facebook, it's I tell people it's not only a name, it's a sobriety test. So
I will make sure to put that link in the comments
yeah, please
for
do.
this for the information. And how about you?
I am Twyla Birdsong
Twyla Birdsong on Facebook.
on Facebook.
Any
Yep.
other socials, guys?
Instagram, you got Twyla Birdsong.
Okay,
Mhm.
wonderful. Well, Twyla and Ben, I want to thank you both for being part of the show today. It's been an honor to have you here. I also want to thank you, the listener and the viewer and supporter and the fan, because without you, none of this would be possible. Absolutely. We would like you to make sure that you click the subscribe button below and also click the notifications so you can tell when we put up a new episode. And just stay with us. Check out the show and make it part of your weekly excursion into the blues, if you would. Jim Ervin reminding you that keeping the blues alive is everyone's responsibility, but preserving the history of the blues one story at a time, that's my mission. Until next time, so long.
This has been Time Signatures with Jim Ervin, presented by the Capital Area Blues Society in Lansing, Michigan. For more information on cabs, visit capitalareablues.org. You can find this episode and past episodes at lccconnect.org. The Time Signatures theme song, Michigan Roads, is used by permission and was written by Root Doctor, featuring Freddie Cunningham.
You know I'm trying, baby, driving up and down these Michigan roads, yeah.
Until next time, keep on keeping the blues alive.